Welcome everyone. We'll get started here in a few minutes. Hey Philip, hey David, welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here again. It's always a fun one. And I think we're going to try it a couple of different ways today. I think we're going to do it. We should get to it today on the Bard live stream. We will definitely get to it in the Paladin playthrough, but I think we're going to try it the traditional way here on the Bard, and then maybe we'll swap over to a non-traditional way to do it in the Paladin playthrough. We'll see when we get there, though. Hey, Lord Henry, welcome back to the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with me while I took last weekend off. I'm ready to get back into Baldur's Gate 3 again. I appreciate that, David. And like I say, maybe we'll get to see a non-traditional fight against Grym in that one. Still deciding. Didn't even do it the traditional way in my personal playthrough. So haven't done it in a very, very long time. So we'll see if I want to chance it or not. And I don't mean the cheese way. I could cheese it, but not going to, not on stream. Yes, I am in patch 5 now. We're going to talk about it a little bit in the admin notes. I could spend an hour and a half today going through admin notes because of patch 5. Patch 5 is... it's crazy. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it. It's, you know, every time a patch is released, I applaud Larian for the amount of work that they put in in the short amount of time that they do it. And when patch 4 came out, and it was a massive patch, I was really impressed with the changes that they had made and the content that they had updated and bugs they had fixed. And it had taken a bit to get, there was a bit of a wait between patch 3 and patch 4, and that was understandable for how big patch 4 was. Patch 5 makes patch 4 look like a hotfix. And they put it out in about 3.5 weeks. And that's mind-boggling. In the video game world, or even a AAA studio, to put out a content drop like this that fast. And yeah, Philip, I think the one thing about patch 5 that makes me a bit regretful is the new honor mode. You cannot switch to honor mode during an existing playthrough, which makes perfect sense. But with me being just now into Act 3 on my personal playthrough, I don't really want to sacrifice all of that time. There are literally hundreds of hours in my personal playthrough to go back and change to honor mode, even though I really want that gold D20. It's a lot of time. As for the rest of it, though, there were changes to Act 1 made. Not as much in Act 2. There are a lot of changes made in Act 3. So, if you aren't there yet, I don't think you're missing a whole lot by just continuing your playthrough in patch 5. Like I say, unless you are super interested like I am in honor mode, that's the only real difference there. And I love cheese, David. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm going to explain how to cheese Grym. It's really easy. It takes a long time, but it is extraordinarily easy. And if you just want the achievement and you want an easy way to do it, I'm going to explain it. I won't be doing it today, though, if I choose to do the non-traditional fight, but we'll kind of explain it when we get there. Yeah, David, that's been mentioned on the forums, and the official response was that if your save games don't show up, then a quit to desktop and restart of the game should find them. I didn't have that issue on my end, so can't really speak to it as much, but that's what they said on the forums anyway. Hey, Papa T. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Philip, and I agree with you, especially when games first come out, all the new fixes and patches and content additions that inevitably happen with any game make you want to start over and experience it all from the beginning. I don't think it's been that bad with this game in particular, having played it so much. I was really anxious to start over, of course, when the full version released because of all the new content they were adding in Act 1, but since then, the additional content that's been added in Act 1 has been fairly minor and really just more nuanced tweaks, so to speak. They did change Act 2 a little bit, especially with some of the Kresh encounters, but it, again, I don't think it substantially changed the game. Most of the content that has been changed, altered, or added has been in Act 3. So if you rushed your way through and got that far in, then yeah, experiencing it may be lost. But you can also go back and reload saves, and that content will be there. You can reload a save just before entering Act 3 and experience it that way. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, which is episode 21 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Bard gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you all for coming along on our journey today. So, on some admin notes, and I promise I'm not going to sit here for an hour and talk about admin notes because I easily could. The big note this week from Larian is the release of Patch 5. Patch 5, again, I said this previously in Patch 4, but Patch 5 is massive. It has a huge content addition to it for the end game. It adds a laundry list of player requested things for quality of life improvement in the game, and it hopefully has fixed some of the performance issues that had been happening, especially in Act 3, but as well as other acts concerning frame rates and lag and that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but again, the main things to be aware of is that there is now an epilogue. After the final fight of the game, there is now an epilogue get-together scene with all of your characters. And kind of like the Tiefling party scene, and depending upon what choices you made throughout the game, that's going to affect how that epilogue plays out, which characters you have in your camp, and all of that sort of stuff. It's an amazing set of content that is variable based, and for them to completely come up with this out of the blue and add it into the game in 3.5 weeks is just, but since patch 4 is just crazy. It's nuts. Now that bit of content is just part of it. Another thing, and this was hinted at a long time ago by Larian, so we know that they've been working on this for a while, and that's 2 new play modes. I'm not going to really call them difficulty modes, but play modes. The first is Honor mode. Honor mode is your hardcore permadeath mode that takes Tactician and it bumps it up a level of difficulty while also bringing it more in line with tabletop. I've always wondered why in this game some of the high level bosses didn't have legendary actions or lair actions, which is a staple of tabletop campaigns. Honor mode now introduces that. So high level boss monsters, and I don't mean high level as in Act 3, I mean high level as in the boss monsters you're going to fight that are high level for whatever level you're at in whatever act you're in, can now sometimes have legendary actions. And not going to go into legendary actions and what they are in tabletop. You can feel free to go look them up, but basically it allows that enemy to have additional free actions that they can take at the end of any individual character's turn, not just when they have their turn, throughout any round. And then at the beginning of the next round, those legendary actions refresh. So it's like a souped up version of haste, kind of, that they can use that, but they can use those actions whenever they want, not just on their turn. So it really ups the difficulty for the boss fights for it. Honor mode also comes with only one save file, so you can't reload and previous save and replay something differently. The save's always overwritten, and it specifically prevents save scumming, so you're not able to save right before, reload, do it again, etc., etc., etc. It is, and the reward for completing a campaign in Honor mode is a gold D20 that you can roll in your other playthroughs. So it's really a hardcore step up. I kind of wish that was there at launch, so my personal playthrough, which is in Tactician mode, could have done it, but it is what it is. They added a huge amount of performance improvements, especially in Act 3, but also more RAM optimizations and that sort of stuff for people who have the minimum requirements, but not necessarily the recommended requirements as far as their hardware goes. And they also cleared up a major memory sink, and that had to do with thieving actions, or not necessarily thieving actions, but hidden stealth checks. Every time that you would go into hiding and you would pass a check and then you would exit hiding, it would keep that stealth check happening in the background as unresolved. And even though you weren't in stealth anymore, it would still be waiting for another check to come in, and it would save hundreds of those every time you enter and exit stealth and clog things up, and that was a big performance issue. So the big thing from a player standpoint is inventory management. And yes, we've been begging for this for months now since it released. The ability to access character inventories for the characters that are not in your party without having to dismiss somebody and bring them back in. And that is now in the game. We'll quickly look at it the first time we go to camp, because we are going to go to camp before we do the Grym fight here, and we'll talk about it then when we get there. The patch notes are massive. Again, took me about an hour to read through all of them, and there's so much. There's just so much in there. And again, in 3.5 weeks since patch 4, it's a testament to Larian for getting these out. Just incredibly impressive. So the update is kind of big. It's 30 gigabytes. It needs 130 gigabytes of free space available to be able to install it, which has been kind of a point of contention. So be aware of that you may have to free up some space if you're getting close on your drive to the limit to be able to install it. Something you definitely want to do. And then it hasn't been mentioned anywhere that I have seen, neither in the Larian launcher or on Larian's website, but when I started up the game today, I got another download update for the game. So not entirely sure what it is. I didn't check my previous recording files to see if the version number down here changed and updated. I'm sure it did, but be aware that there's probably a couple of updates that are going to download and install. So, on our recap, at the end of 2 weeks ago, and again, thank you very much for your patience during the holidays and allowing me to take last weekend off. Family unexpectedly came in because of the new house construction, so they were anxious to see it. So it was a good time, but I apologize for the last minute canceling of the streams. But 2 weeks ago, we ended the stream with the fight with the Maragon Legionnaire and the Hellsboars, and that's putting us right at the spot where we are in the midst of collecting all of the adamantine forge requirements, all of the molds and all of the mithril ore to be able to craft stuff at the adamantine forge. And that's where we're going to continue today. Today we should have enough time to get through all of the collection of these materials and all of the encounters that go along with them, as well as getting into the fight with Grym. So hopefully it's going to be an action-packed episode today. So here's where we were. We had just finished the Maragon fight here. We have the devil foil masks, yes, that we have picked up. So now we are ready to head back out here. And I believe, actually I don't know if we have or not, so let's go make our way up here and we'll do some searching on the way. Okay, so up here on this path, we're going to come across some various things that we can search up here. And we're going to pick up a Dark Justiciar helm. Again, another one of Shadowheart's Dark Justiciar armor sets, so to speak. This one comes with the Swathed in Shadow trait, which is, again, when you're obscured, you gain +1 to your saving throws, as well as just a straight Constitution saving throw +1 bonus. So, not bad, but again, at this time you normally have... Oh, that was interesting. I've been not paying attention. I'm going to illustrate something else that actually I just now noticed. This is interesting. So, a map of Moonhaven is here. Let's go down here. You can read this plaque.
In the beginning came morning, then night. Two sisters clashed, one dark and one light.
Again, talking about the war between Shar and Selûne. Then here we have a gilded chest. So we have some camp supplies, or we have some crafting ingredients. Okay. Yes, I didn't notice this in my playthrough. You can, because of the new inventory changes, you can send stuff to any member. We don't have Gale or Karlach or Shadowheart in our party right now, but they show up in the list here. So when I was picking up those things, Karlach was showing up here, and I didn't think of the fact that she wasn't in the party, and I was sending stuff to her to be able to carry until she sells it. But now all of your party members are here. I'm not entirely sure if I like this, especially if this order changes. So Lae'zel, Will, and Astarion, that's in character order here. Maybe Karlach has always been here at the bottom and I was always just sending stuff all the way down here, but I'm going to pay attention to this and see if I like this or not, because you can get, that could be quite a list by the time you get farther along in this game. So yeah, and Philip, we're going to explain more about the change to the inventory system that was made in patch 5 once we go to camp as well. So making our way up here, we have another skeleton we can search, and we find the scimitar mold. Okay, so see, now the list is different. It doesn't have the others, so when you shift click multiple items, you can only send multiple items to the characters that are in your party. Singular items can go to anybody. That's a bit of an even stranger concept. I'm not sure if that's intended or not. But we'll keep exploring that. So here, these levers operate very similarly to the levers that we just saw, except now they control this platform here. So this lever here moves the platform up and down. This lever here moves it left and right. And again, don't forget that you can actuate these levers with ranged attacks. So for now, I'm going to leave the platform raised up and here at this end. And there's nowhere to explore out this side. I've already done some extensive looking out there. Okay, now we're going to make our way back to this platform here. So just to take quick stock again, we have the shield mold and the scimitar mold. This is 2 out of the 6 molds that you can find here in the game. I believe those are the only 2 that we have. Yes. So we'll try this again. Hopefully nobody falls to their doom. Okay. And we'll have Lae'zel pick up the longsword mold, which is now the 3rd of the 6 molds that are available to us. And we're going to continue on this pathway here. And again, now you know exactly where we are. This is the main room where the near encounter was.
What's hiding here?
We're just above it. Sleet Storm is nice, and I need to be very careful on where I'm putting these things. That's going to take me some getting used to. Like I say, not entirely sure I like that mechanic yet. I think I would prefer to have that maybe toggleable or something in the interface tab.
Platform's covered in rust. Must be older than bone dust.
Okay, so now that we're up here, I'm going to make a ranged attack on this first lever here. Or am I? Let me see. I'm going to make an attack on the far lever first. I can never remember. Yeah, I'm supposed to be up here. I think. No, I'm not. So I'm going to make a ranged attack on the near lever here. And now from here, I can jump up to this platform. Always scares me. Okay, we can make our way down here, and we're going to jump over to this section of rock here. And we'll discover this waypoint here. Let's go, Will. Okay.
Sharp as ever.
This happens quite a bit more, I've found, since patch 5, that there will be one character, normally the character who is last in line in this diamond formation, that will get lost, so to speak. To see, Will is in this diamond formation here. Will's at the back. I found that when you make jumps like that across inaccessible terrain, that about half of the time, your last character in line will not follow you. They will stay up here, and you have to break your group and jump them over separately. I'm not entirely sure what's caused that, but I've noticed it quite a bit in patch 5. So now, sitting here on the table is a mace mold. That is the 4th in line. And while we're here,
Won't stop me yet.
we need to take stock of some things. So if you go into group hide, you can see that we have detection cones over here. And that's because of the animated armors that are up here. There are 4 of them. 2 of them that are melee based down here and here, and 2 that are ranged based here and here. For right now, if you stay back down this direction, you don't have to remain hidden. But if you want to move down this direction, you definitely want to go into hiding before you do so. Another potion of animal speaking, always good. You can read the book here. This again talks about, again, how the Sharans were planning to use the adamantine forge and adamantine to forge new weapons in their fight against Selûne and Selûne's worshippers.
Forge your blade in the fires and raise it in the mistress's name.
So again, more confirmation of that. We have Dark Justiciar Mail. We've talked about that before. Another one of the Dark Justiciar set that always has a when obscured bonus that goes along with it. Scribbled notes here that talks about the nearby mithril veins, as well as the Grym, the guardian for the forge. So it's giving you some hints here about what you're going to encounter.
Action, not reaction.
And down here we have the splint mold, which is heavy armor.
All's well that ends not as bad as it could have. What path lies before me?
Okay, we'll just do some more quick searching up here. Glyph of Warding is really good. Feign Death is situationally very, very good. And here we have a forge construction log. Here it talks about the hammer and the operation of the forge some more. So you learn that you need magma to be able to forge adamantine using the hammer and that sort of stuff. So it kind of gives you another hint about how things work up here.
Let's have a look.
And now you get a kind of overlook into the forge area. We're going to head down this way in a second, but again, you can see how beautiful all of this is. It's really amazing. This area of the map has always been incredible. The level of detail that the devs put into this. So here I'm going to put everybody in hiding. I'm going to break my group.
Ready for anything.
I'm going to take Lae'zel, and I'm going to put her down here around the corner.
Steps.
Keep your blade close. Not a sound.
And as usual, I'm going to start things off with Astarion here. Okay, so trying to focus the ranged animated armors is fairly important here for how I'm going to play this, because I'm going to kite them backwards as I go. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do here, especially if you have arrows of roaring thunder. So you can see the impact of hitting them with it and them failing the save. This one is going to go, if I target here, he's going to go flying off the cliff into the magma. If I hit him in a very specific spot here, but it's not going to affect the other one. Trying to look and see if there's one that gets both. There isn't one that gets both. I don't think. Doesn't look like it. But I can hit both of them and get them both damage caused. It will cause one to hopefully fall off, and the other one to just get knocked over and prone. So we're going to start this with an Arrow of Roaring Thunder here. The loot that they have is nothing special. It's just regular weapons. Okay, so now I'm going to, again, start this off by dashing. Going to see if I have any attack possibility. That would be, well, if I move up a little bit here. Still just outside. Okay. I'll try and get an attack here. Good. And now I'm gonna run away.
This will do nicely.
Let them come to me. So, looks like this animated armor didn't die. Oh, he didn't die. He's down here. Well, we'll be able to go deal with him in a bit then. If he's gonna be stuck down there. Okay, good. He's going to take a while to move back up around here. That's always good. And there are the dashes that I was looking for. Okay, so now I'm going to look at bringing Will up. And see if I can get any damage here. While also pushing this animated armor back. Perfect. And now with Starion,
Let's have some fun.
can click heals with him. And again, I want to focus on this one down here. So, boy, let me see how I can, actually I don't need to, I can just run away with him. He's still out of range of Will, I think. So let's just focus on these two, I guess, again. Okay, so he missed with his second one.
Yes, here.
Good, they're both dashing. Yes, they're both out of range of Will. So, this is exactly what I wanted to have happen. So, we are going to take Lae'zel here.
Light steps.
Okay, so let's see how far my movement can be pressed. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I am... Alright, so let's look and see if we can take out this animated armor here. One left, of course. Let's see if we can knock these two back again. Missed them both. Alright. Should have probably planned that a little better. I could have added in a buff here with my bard instead of approaching it that way, but
There's blood in the air.
so let's see if we can offhand this one here. That's only a 50% chance.
Nice.
Let's bring our bard into this. Instead.
Breathe deep and move.
Okay, so now they've got the singing sword buff, which is what I should have done beforehand. So that ups his percentage to 60%. Okay.
Outmaneuver them. No holding back.
All right.
Hungry for the slaughter.
I do still have an offhand attack here. It doesn't matter. For that small amount of damage, I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so only got one hit out of that, which is good. So going after Will, okay, good, did miss. Go ahead with the second one, critical miss. All right, so we've got one here. So let's actually hold off on this. Let's finish
On the
this fight
victor's
up
path.
here first.
Never a dull moment.
Okay.
I will ascend.
I've missed this.
Is it 18? Actually, let's move Historian up here. We'll give him a bonus to this as well. Should be able to get sneak attack because he's threatened, and that's fine.
Nothing will stand in my way.
Okay, and I did not equip that.
What path lies before me?
Swift and lethal.
So do we have, let's see what we have left here. Let's see if we can move Will up enough. 65% chance. I should be able to hit with one of these two. Okay, good.
I will ascend.
A little bit short, so let's jump first.
My path be true.
And again, ranged attacker up close, so I'm not too worried about disarming them or anything. Didn't matter because she got a hit in and it worked. So again, the animated armor's just regular weapons, so if you do end up knocking them off the cliff, into the lava,
No
you're
traps,
not going to
please.
miss out on anything.
Best be on my way.
Need to be careful on who's with me. That list is, like I say, a little strange to me. Okay, so it keeps its order, it appears.
Enough waiting. I crave blood.
Onward.
Okay, and then over here we have the scale mail mold. So now if I look at Lae'zel, she has all 6 of the molds. Shield, scimitar, mace, scale mail, splint mail, and longsword. These are the 6 different weapons and or armor that you can craft at the adamantine forge. However, you are only going to be able to craft 2 out of this 6. So now is a time to decide how you want to continue your character outfitting and what you want to do as far as your armor choices go. Lae'zel, I'm going to continue playing her as my great weapon master. So with my two-handed weapons, that's how I'm going to continue playing her. So a shield for her doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but heavier armor for her certainly does. So I'm going to go with the splint mail for her. And then out of the other choices, again, I have some options here. So if you're looking at armor, I have just a regular chain shirt here for my bard, which is 15, which is nice. It comes with superior material, so I take 1 less slashing damage. However, this might be a candidate for the scale mail mold. I'm also wearing a shield here. Right now, I'm just wearing the Absolute's Warboard. I have the Absolute's brand on her, so I'm gaining a +1 bonus to saving throws, and I can cast the Heroism spell once per long rest with the Absolute's Warboard. However, the shield might be an option for her as well. So I think what I'm going to do with this playthrough is I'm definitely going to keep the splint mold here for Lae'zel to craft splint armor out of. And I'm also going to take the scale mail mold to give my bard adamantine scale mail. The rest of these I'm not going to be able to craft because I've only got 2 crafting items. Now, that's all there is in the game so far. I'm going to send these off to my camp because you never know. At some point, there may be an expansion to this that may add in more mithril that you can collect somewhere and come back here to forge more things. You never know. So I'm going to keep the molds in my camp, and I'm just going to take the scale and the splint with me to replace these, which are basically just +2 and +1 chainmails. So, or chain shirts and chainmails. So that's what I'm going to be crafting.
At least things have
It's up to
stayed
you.
interesting.
You can craft whichever of those 6 you would like.
What's inside?
This is just how I'm going with this playthrough. You'll see something entirely different in the Paladin playthrough. So here you have a Dark Justiciar mask. Again, a Shadowheart Dark Justiciar set. This mask gives you +1 to Intimidation. I don't really need any of that with a bard character. I'll just end up selling it. And now we're going to head down this direction. We've already been down here a little bit to do some searching. There are some more skeletons. And we make our way down into this area, and you can see over here, there's a mithril vein. I'm going to break my group here because, again, I just don't trust this as much.
Out of mind.
When you're in hide and you can see your pathing here, you can see the pathing across here shows all white, which means that you're not going to step in any lava while you're doing it. I've actually clicked on this with a white path and it's walked across that bridge and stepped into lava. And when you step into lava, you take a huge amount of damage when you do it. So I simply don't trust the pathing. I know that they've improved it. It seems that they've done some work on it. I just simply don't trust it. So I'm going to split my group here,
One day I'll catch
make my way down this direction to right here. Going to jump across. Okay, so that failed. I'll bring Shadowheart over here in a second. Whoops. Forgot they're immune to slashing damage. Okay, and here you have Mithril Ore that you can pick up. And it won't be Shadowheart. Who has the... next best survival? Astarian. Well, almost everybody. We'll bring Astarian down here.
Moving.
And he failed his check. It's a DC 20.
Oh, enough waiting. I crave blood. Onward.
Keep your distance, darling.
Indolence breeds madness.
Roll the 5. Roll the 4. Rolled a 14 there. So if I'd have had, no, I still wouldn't have passed it.
Sharp as ever.
Even with guidance.
What now? A hero at heart.
Okay, we'll find it. He rolled a 20.
Can't give up now.
So there is a dirt mound here. And again, if you have access to scratch, that is now a perfectly acceptable, in my mind, alternative to just going around and digging with your character. So here you're going to be able to pick up some crafting supplies. There's also normally a rare scroll in here, and Fireball is always great. Okay, and now you can make your way back out of here.
Time to press ahead.
Like its will be done. Quickly then.
Where am I needed? Checking things out. Watch your back.
Need to find a way forward.
Okay, so we've picked up our first Mithril Ore. Now we can make our way down toward the forge here.
Centuries of blazing heat have smoothed away the plaque's inscription.
For this, I'm going to put everybody in hiding here again. I'm going to break the group.
Time to kill.
Okay. And here, I do have an elixir of fire resistance. So I'm going to have Astarian drink that. That's going to last until his long rest, so there's no timer on that. Okay, you're going to get an autosave down here.
What now?
On the prowl.
I can be subtle sometimes.
Just wanted to look at something else here. Okay. So we are going to go down here with... Actually... No, because heat metal becomes a thing. I would prefer to do it this way. So we're going to move myself out of hiding here, and we're going to weather some attacks with the Astarian. If you have the Sanctuary spell, now is a good time to use it. Because I'm going to be surprised. So this first round of combat is free for them. But I rolled high in initiative, so I'm going to get to go next. And this is why you take the elixir of fire resistance. Is so you're taking half damage from any of these fire attacks. So now I've got everybody kind of grouped up here, which is exactly what I'm interested in seeing. So from here,
What path lies before me?
you can move your characters down here to the edge, and you have pretty much free reign to cast spells wherever you want down here. And I can get, I believe, a cloud of daggers here that's going to kill or severely damage all 4 of these. Okay. That did kill 2. It also spawned 3 more, which is exactly what you want. You want them brought into the combat as well.
Careful.
And now for these, you want to try and take out the back Mephits, or the ones that are not right next to Astarion, first. So let's see who we can and can't hit here. So it looks like he can hit both of these. Oh, yeah. Right, he can hit both of those. Going to save this for Lae'zel. Okay, got a crit there.
Still in shadow. Unheard, unseen.
Okay, so now for Astarion, again, he's got his potion of fire resistance, or elixir of fire resistance, so when the fire Mephits or magma Mephits explode, they do an AoE fire damage. But again, he gets an opportunity to avoid that attack. So we'll just go ahead and try and knock out a couple of these. So there's 4 left here and 3 left here. Only did 2. Come on, do a kill. Okay. And again, he saved on it, so he took 0 damage. Alright, and from up here we can just continue on. What I'm going to do here, though... No, I can just continue on from here. She has her extra attack. At disadvantage because it's outside normal range. That's why I'm... Well, I mean, I guess I can. Should have done this beforehand, but...
Battle favors the fearless. Go for the throat.
Okay, got a crit. That was nice, so this should hopefully end it. Perfect.
Don't waste a step.
As you saw in the Paladin playthrough, the Sanctuary spell is
Defender of
really
the
nice there. You can cast Sanctuary on the character you're going to send down there, and the Mephits just continually want to stay down there and go after them.
One move
If you
ahead.
don't have it, though, just make sure you cast...
Enough waiting. I
or you
crave
get
blood.
a an elixir of fire resistance down on them,
Never a dull moment.
so that they're protected from all of the fire damage that's here, and it goes fairly straightforward.
What's in here?
You're always going to pick up some heart-shaped rocks, as well as normally some other type of gem from the Magma Mephits. And the heart-shaped rocks are good for oils of combustion. Don't know if I'll be able to reach this one. This is kind of iffy. No, let's not do that. Okay, now we can come up here, do some searching in this back area. Scroll of Haste and Phantasmal Killer, really good. And all of these, I've gotten a couple questions about this in the comments. Why don't I use scrolls as much? The reason simply is I don't have to right now. We are going to have to start utilizing scrolls more once we get into combats that are, how can I say it, a little more taxing than where we are. We are actually getting to the point where we're a little over-leveled for Act 1 because we're doing everything. But once we get into a couple of the fights in the Mountain Pass, once we get into definitely Act 2, you're going to want to have those scrolls available for you to add a variety of action economy to your abilities. And it becomes a bit more important later on. Right now you can just get away with, for the most part, the spells that you have prepared and a hack and slash method, but that's going to change. And here again we're talking about how Ketheric Thorm's Sharans had built this place and they're trying to rebuild it. And we have another mithril vein here. And that drops our second mithril ore. There's always another elixir of fire resistance down here to replenish the one that we used.
Looking ahead.
And we have a registry here about all the followers of Ketheric Thorm, and you can see that they're all scratched. Most of them are scratched out with no longer next to them. So they're all dead.
If not over, then through.
Okay, so we're going to make our way back over here toward the forge.
This must be the forge. What a sight to behold.
And we'll jump our way across here. And then we can make our way over into this area. And this area has a quest marker in it. And we just learned more about the adamantine forge. It's got a quest marker in it for help the spirit of the amulet. And we're going to take the next stage of that quest They just land right on the edge. Just trying to scare me.
Is lava supposed to do that?
They're talking about all of these ready to burst areas that are out here. Okay, and here I'm going to break my group again. I'm going to, because Will doesn't have any action economy left, we're going to take our first short rest. Get that back.
Trust no one.
And we're going to take Astarion again. And you can see where the existing fire is on the ground. And kind of time this. But what you're watching for is this. There's a lava elemental back here. And you want to wait to cross and you know, actually, no, we're gonna do it over here too, but to do that, yeah, we're gonna cross with the Astarion. So we'll wait for this fire to go away here. And we will time our crossing. Now, the lava elemental is not hostile right now. So we are also going to make this crossing with my bard. And again, we will time it for the lava elemental here.
Lava elemental. So you all has this place all stirred up.
And the reason for this is that the attacks on the lava elemental can be very easy or very hard, depending upon how well you plan for them. Nope, that was bad. See, and that's what I meant by that.
On my way.
By stepping in the lava. I accidentally moved a little bit too far forward there. Let's just get some health back. Come on, go away. There it is.
Breathe quiet. Move with care.
And now, because of that misclick, I will just utilize some of this to get them back, to get some of them back. I'm not going to need all of them for this fight. And now what I'm going to do is
Maybe I should stay
start
around.
this off
Something smells tasty.
with Astarion, but I'm going to start it in turn-based mode. When the lava elemental gets around in here. I don't want the lava elemental standing on... Or I want to get the lava elemental to a point where I can melee attack him from the ground. Okay. So here he is... He might not even be standing in lava there. He's still got the magmatic regeneration trait, but we'll take a look at it here in a second. So again, always good before you start anything to look at the resistances. He's immune to fire damage. He's got resistance to piercing damage, which is what your bows and or rapiers are about. He's vulnerable to cold damage, which is the important one here. So even though he's resistant to piercing damage from the crossbows, I do have arrows of ice to help offset that a little bit, because I'll be doing double damage from the cold damage. Okay, so now Astarian's moved in. The enemy is surprised, which is exactly what I needed. And the rest of my characters are not in combat now. So what I'm going to do now is look at how I can get my other characters close enough to the elemental to do full damage, or as much damage as I possibly can. Okay, and the detection cone for the lava elemental is facing away right now.
Light steps.
So this will be interesting. Whether or not I can jump Lae'zel over here without getting into combat or not. Okay, so she is in combat now. But again, he is surprised, so we're going to have a turn here. And again, I'm not too worried about the fire damage that's going on. It's a problem, but it's not something that I can't overcome here. So we want to get Lae'zel immediately into this. And okay, so he's frightened. That's excellent, because now for the next two turns he's locked into place and he can't move. So if he's not actually standing in lava, which I'm not entirely sure if he is or not, we'll have to wait until the next turn to see. If he's not in lava, then he's not going to be able to do a regeneration. So let's continue using our superiority die here. Okay, so redid the frightened. Let's try that one more time. Got a crit, that was huge. So that's gonna end things. I can get her out of the flames now and we're all good. So that's why attacking him in this spot is kind of what you want to do, because this way you have this platform here to be able to approach him to utilize melee attacks. If you start attacking him when he's, out here or something, you might not be able to reach him with melee attacks, and he's standing in lava. At the end of his turn, and it's not going to show it in here because he's no longer alive, but the magmatic regeneration, every time he starts his turn in lava, he's going to regenerate a huge amount of hit points. So if you do a whole bunch of attacks, ranged attacks, and cause half his damage, but he's still standing out here in lava and you can't kill him, the start of his turn, he's going to get all of those hit points back. He can regain up to 100 hit points, which is, he's only got 95 to begin with. So, depending upon how you play this, it can be much more difficult. And that's why having characters over here that you can start the attacks with and surprise him and have his detection cone facing away, you can move your characters down here and jump across possibly, or jump from here across to here and then across to here, and get in attacks on him during that surprise round while he's there. So very, very important to plan that the best you can. So now we're going to go into this next one here, and I'm thinking about how I want to do this.
Well, hello.
The pride of the gate.
I don't care so much
Taking my time in the shadows. Can't slow down.
about that. Let's go down here and we can loot the lava elemental. You see just a bunch of gemstones that you're able to take. And now we have a couple of items here. So we have the skeleton. And we have this adamantine chest.
Watch your back.
Hey Ian, welcome to the stream. Yeah, the honor mode. I talked about it a little bit during the admin notes. I would love the gold D20. I already play my personal playthrough in tactician mode. Honor mode is great for me. I love the tabletop aspects of it with legendary actions and that sort of stuff, which I always felt was missing from this game. However, at this point, I'm simply too far along in my personal playthrough to start a new one. I want to get a full playthrough done before I go do that now, simply because I don't want to have to go back a full 2 acts that I've already played to start over again. Once I finish it the first time in my personal one, I will definitely be doing one. But not at this point. But I love the fact that honor mode is in the game. So we'll lockpick this chest here. It's got a DC of 20. So we're going to add back in our gloves of thievery. Going to add in guidance. 12 to 15, so we need at least an 8 here. So even with all of Astarian's bonuses, we're still at needing, almost a 50-50 shot. It's a 40% chance to fail this. And we get a nat 20. Oh, okay. Well. So, now we have the adamantine chest. And the adamantine chest is part of the quest line here about the lost amulet. Now, you're going to have to deal with some skill checks during this, and it's better, I believe that they're wisdom based, so it's better if you have a wisdom based character that can do it. Astarion is our highest wisdom based, however he's only going to be getting a +1 from that wisdom bonus. So, and I'm looking at proficiencies. You know, I guess I will do it with him. None of these proficiencies are going to matter, I don't believe, because I think it's a wisdom saving throw, not a wisdom proficiency check. But we'll do it with him anyway. I believe these are wisdom checks now. I can't even remember.
The amulet is heavy, but holds a subtle warmth, like it was left under the sun. Suddenly, the metal surges with heat. You feel great power and an overwhelming urge to laugh.
Can thou endure?
Okay, so you do have a wisdom check here, and yes, these are straight wisdom checks. These are not skill-based checks, so I'm going to fight the urge here. It's a DC 10. I can add in guidance. I'm going to save a combat inspiration for later here. There you go, Lord Henry. That's just what you were talking about. So I do have inspirations here. 50-50 without the bonuses.
The laugh urge fades. A quiet power spreads from hand to head, then down to your feet.
Thou hast done well, for what is a laugh if not one step toward madness? Thou art the wonder! Return me, take me home, and thou shalt glow with blessings. To my granddaughter, Shira Clarwen, serves Ilmata Shida. She waits in Worm's Crossing. Take me there, and thou shalt bathe in her golden gifts. Oh, thou shalt be blessed indeed. A ghost? I am sunlight on water, dew on grass. Sharons broke my body, but my spirit they could not. Well, not completely. Thou shalt return me home, it is written.
So we do have an investigation check that we can make. We have proficiency in that, and this is what I was looking at for the secondary part of this.
Etched on its face is an image of the dawning sun. You recognize the symbol. It belongs to those sworn to Lathander, god of dawn and renewal. Whatever madness this spirit suffers was inflicted by Lathander's enemies, followers of Shah. And this madness may flow into you. Beneath the rampant joy, you sense the monk's fear and sincerity. He doesn't wish to harm you, but that doesn't mean he won't.
I shall walk with thee. I shall grant you my power.
Okay, I'm going to stow the amulet and not equip it.
You feel a chuckle coming on, but it soon fades.
We are going to learn much more about the monks and Lathander when we venture into the mountain pass. But for now, it's just a continuing quest that we have. We picked up the sentient amulet. So the sentient amulet has a couple of things here. So this is a monk-based item. So it allows you to cast the Shatter spell once per short rest, which is always good. Shatter is always nice. It allows you to speak with the consciousness that we just spoke to a second ago. And it gives you key restoration. So as an action, you can restore 2 key points. We haven't talked much about the monk class, but key is very similar to like sorcery points and that sort of stuff for sorcerers. They are points that allow you to do certain actions in combat. So kind of like superiority die to a certain extent. Kind of like the oath charges that you have for certain things for Paladin. Key is how monks utilize their expanded monk abilities. And this, once per long rest, allows you to restore 2 key points. So for a monk class, the sentient amulet can be very good. Just not something that, again, we're going to be utilizing here in our playthrough. So, and yes, I mean, you're right. In honor mode, there are. It makes it. They didn't revamp the boss fights per se from a technical term. What they did was they added in legendary actions, which were always missing from this game, and that allows those bosses that you're talking about to utilize legendary actions in those encounters. So they didn't necessarily take the whole thing and redo it from the aspect of, you know, we're going to add a whole bunch more enemies or all that sort of stuff. What they did was add in legendary actions, and those legendary actions are a tabletop thing. Those and lair actions are very prevalent in tabletop campaigns. Them being absent from this game was always kind of a question mark that everybody had. Adding them in means that the bosses themselves now have expanded abilities that they did not have previously. And yes, it can make those fights substantially harder, but it brings it more in line to, you know, what tabletop is like. So, and that's kind of what honor mode is meant to do. There's no save scumming allowed because in tabletop you can't save scum anything. You know, whatever happens with the dice is whatever happens with the dice.
Wish to live in more interesting times.
And people had been requesting this for a very long time as a way to play this more like tabletop, and at the same time allowing people who weren't familiar with tabletop to play the game their own way. And I've always been very interested in tabletop. I mean, I've played it since I was a kid. So honor mode is very intriguing to me. I would love to play it right now. That's one of those things where you have a little bit of regret. You know right when you buy a game, playing it on day one, you know there's going to be changes and fixes and all that sort of stuff that happens. There was no hint of this given that it was coming. But it makes me wish that I hadn't started a personal playthrough until now, because I would absolutely love to do it. And yes, putting out patch 5 3.5 weeks after the massive patch 4. Yeah, it's Larian is like you say, they are embarrassing AAA studios with their commitment to this game. It's just incredible. So now we're going to have the encounter at the adamantine forge here. We have our 2 molds, the splint mold and the scale mail mold. We have our 2 pieces of mithril ore. So now we're going to deal with the forge. And to do that, we're going to take a long rest beforehand. We don't necessarily need to do this. If you look at our action economy, we're not too bad off, and we're only down 1 spell slot on our bard. I guess I could just use my second short rest here and do that. I guess we don't need to necessarily. We're only down that 1 level 2 spell slots, and spell slots aren't a big deal in this fight anyway. So I guess we'll just go ahead and do it. So let's go, Lazel. Okay. So now you have the mold chamber. The mold chamber is exactly what it sounds like.
Perfect match for that mold.
Honor mode is a difficulty in and of itself. It's a mode that you choose in lieu of explorer, balance, and tactician mode. So it takes it's a step above tactician mode. So it is the new end-all be-all for difficulty in the game. So we're going to put the splint mold in here and insert it. It says successfully inserted. And now you have the crucible. And you can insert an item in the crucible, and this is where you insert your mithril ore.
Breathe deep and move.
Now we're going to go over here, and you have a forge lever. Going to bring this down. And it's going to drop this platform down. Now, this is important. I said I was going to talk about this. The way to cheese the Grym fight. I'm not going to do it.
Down it goes.
But there is a way to do this. Grym is melee based only. He doesn't have any ranged attacks. And the lava valve here, just like any other lever, is able to be triggered by ranged attacks. Now, what you can do is up top, you can see them still here. You have the main entrance platform that you jumped across to land onto the forge earlier, way up top, that you came down the ramp from. And then you have this other side over here. Actually, I take that back. Here is the... No, I had that right. Yes, I had that right. So the main entrance that you come down up here to jump across, and then you have another platform or another area to jump across over here to get to the lava elemental. If you position your ranged characters on the right side platform over here, you have enough range to be able to shoot the lava valve and keep this area covered in lava, and hence keep Grym superheated, so he's susceptible to damage. Now, he's resistant to almost all damage types when he's superheated, so he's going to be taking half damage from piercing damage, which are your ranged attacks, but you can attack him from up there, and he can't reach you, and at the end of his turn he just stays down here. Now what you can do is you can put your other ranged characters over on the main platform. They can make all of their attacks against him because he will come down underneath the platform here and he's hard to hit. So your characters over here can make all their attacks, and then the last character in line can make an attack against him, keep his aggro so he's over here underneath, standing in the lava. Because if these characters over here attack him, he's going to move onto this platform, and he's not going to be standing in lava anymore, and he won't be superheated. So you need to keep him moved over here where he's standing in lava, and you can keep actuating the lava lever, keep him superheated, and attack him from up above where you're safe. Now, the downside to that is that if you want to forge anything, you have to get somebody who can fly down here, or somebody who can featherfall jump down here, because this platform is going to be stuck down here like this during all of that, and you can't get it back up. So you can cheese it, but you need to kind of make some allowances for the fact that you cheesed it by having a special means to deal with the forging of your items down here. I said I'd mention it. You can do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do this Grym playthrough here the traditional way, the way that Larian probably intended for it to be done. And that's by utilizing the Forge Hammer. And we'll talk about that here in a second. So what I'm going to do is take my Bard and move her over here into this very back corner behind the pipes here. Put her in hiding.
How delicious.
Astarion is about where he needs to be, but I'm going to move him
Let's go.
up here to this corner.
Indolence breeds madness.
Lae'zel
Proceed.
going to move up to this corner.
Played it
And
pretty.
Will, I'm going to place back here
Nice.
for now.
They won't see me coming.
Assume nothing.
Okay, so now how you start this off is by triggering the lava valve, and you're going to get a cutscene. Grym is going to come out, and we'll talk about the generalized strategy after that.
Out of sight. Out of
And
mind.
we're going to quick save here just in case we get a glitch of anything. Okay, so contrary to what that cutscene would show, where Grym is looking right at you, he is not looking right at your character here. And your character who triggered the lava valve, if you're standing back here, is still in hiding. That can be incredibly useful because now, if this character is not in combat, they can trigger this lava valve whenever they want. The lava is going to stay out here for 2 turns, and then it's going to disappear. Grym will stay superheated for 2 turns after that is done. But then you will have to trigger the lava again to get Grym superheated if he's again standing in lava. Having a character that you keep out of the fight, in hiding over here, and you direct Grym around this battlefield in a way where his detection cone does not overlap this character and bring them out of hiding, can be very, very useful. Now, if they do get brought out of hiding, it's not a big deal because, again, this lava valve can be triggered with ranged attacks. So it's not necessarily a game breaker if that happens. So let's look at Grym here. First thing you know about Grym is he's got a high armor class. It's an 18. He's got a -2 from dexterity. If he's... and this is when he's superheated. So when he's superheated, his armor class is this. When he's not, he's basically invulnerable to everything. So to damage him, you need him to be superheated. That's kind of the key point here. While he's superheated, he is still immune to a bunch of different damage types. So he's not going to be able to be nuked by your paladin because he is immune to radiant damage even when he is superheated. He's also immune to psychic damage, so Lae'zel's psychic from her sword wouldn't do a whole lot here, or wouldn't do anything here. He's immune to poison, necrotic, fire, and lightning. He is damageable by cold. He's resistant to it, so he's only going to take half damage. Thunder damage and acid damage are the same. Slashing and piercing, he's resistant, so he's only going to take half damage. However, he's vulnerable to bludgeoning damage, which means he takes double damage from bludgeoning weapons. And that's important to remember because the hammer here that we brought down earlier, by using the forge lever, it will drop that hammer again. And that hammer is bludgeoning damage. So he's going to take double damage from it. Now, also looking at his traits, here you have adamantine skin, and this is what basically tells you that the only time you can damage him is when he's superheated. Only intense heat can soften the metal enough to be shaped. When he's not superheated, he's going to be invulnerable to almost everything. He also has the Vengeful Guardian trait, and this is how you manage his movement inside this fight. So Grym will always attack the last character that hit it if it's possible to go after them. And that is what we're going to illustrate with this. So for my first turn here, Grym is not going to do anything. He's come out, he's standing there, but he's not really activated yet. So you can think of it kind of like him being surprised. So this first turn, we are free to make any attacks that we want against him, and he's not going to retaliate towards us. Right? So I normally take this turn just to try and get in a couple of points of initial damage, but at the end of this turn, again, he is not going to react. He's not going to come toward us. So it doesn't matter who's attacking him in what order at this point. Okay. So we can just get in a ranged attack here, and you can see with a 55%, he's got a high defense, but we don't, in the traditional playthrough here, it doesn't really matter how much damage you do to Grym. The damage that you do with your physical weapons is not what's important here. And you're going to see what that means here on our second turn. So we're just going to attack. If we miss, we miss. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now that that attack hit, you can see that the threat assessment popped up above Grym, and now he's got the condition where he is locked on to a new target, and the target that you're locked onto always has this red glow. So you can see that Lae'zel now has the prime target condition. So if Grym was able to move on his turn, he would move directly toward Lae'zel and try and attack her, and he will move in a straight line. And that's what's important here. We're not going to use our action surge yet. And now with Astarion, and again, you need to be careful when you are clicking on Grym to attack him, because this attack right now, I was able to make a ranged attack from Lae'zel standing there. That exact same spot on the opposite side, if I clicked it for range, you can see the white outline. Astarion is going to move into that lava to make this attack. So this is incredibly important that you watch very carefully what attacks you're able to make and how you're able to make them. Okay? Otherwise, you can walk right, the game will walk you right into this lava to be able to make that attack. And the lava is the, let me clarify that. Yes, is the most damaging thing in the game. More than what Grym can do to you with his melee attack. So here we're not able to attack him from this location. However, what I am going to do is jump across here. Okay. So we missed both of those, but again, I don't really care. Right? So now I'm going to end my turn. Grym is going to awaken. The prime target goes away, and now whoever damages Grym last is whoever's going to draw his ire. And this is where things become important, because the goal here is to take Grym and draw him here. And that means whoever I draw his aggro with, I need to move them down to here so that Grym can walk in a straight line towards me and land on this. So I need a character with enough movement to be able to do that. Now Lae'zel has her Misty Step bonus action. She only has the use of it one time with her Get Yankee ability and one time with the disintegrating Nightwalkers that she's wearing. Alright, but that still allows her to move anywhere on this battlefield. So if she draws aggro, I can Misty Step her back here, because if I move in a straight line, I might not be able to make it back here. We'll have to look and see. But from where she's at, she might be able to move here then to here, and get somewhere around in here, which might be close enough for Grym to get there. The other thing is Astarion. Astarion, with his bonus action to be able to click heals, even with him being over here, I can click heals, jump him with my second bonus action over here, and still have enough movement to get all the way back here. So either one of these two characters drawing aggro is good for me. It doesn't matter which one does it. So we're going to make our attacks, see who drags aggro, and we're going to utilize our movements afterward. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to use my main attack here with Astarion and see if we hit. Okay, we did. So the prime target is now Astarion. Let's swap to Lae'zel. And actually, now that we don't, let's keep it this way, because I'm gonna try and drag him back, and I'll use Lae'zel to do that. So now that we've got the aggro drawn, we've got two bonus actions here. So one of them we're going to use for click heals. The second one we're going to use to jump across this gap. Okay, and it's not showing us the path. And we're going to move Astarion right here. Now, he's got the threat, so Grym is going to move right towards him. And you'll see that now it becomes a matter of managing Grym's movement. And here's the next important thing to pay attention to, is how far Grym can move. So, I'm anxious to see if they fixed this or not. They have not. The movement speed has been bugged for a long time. I don't know why it's not displaying the actual movement speed. But when Grym is superheated, he can move from the center of this circle. So you draw a circle all the way around here. So from the center of these pads, the center of these platforms, all the way around, to the center in one move. It's actually a little bit farther than that. It's like from the back of the circle. He can walk all the way to the center in one movement. He can't dash. He doesn't have the dash ability. So where he's positioned at right now, he's going to move from here and he's going to end up right on this platform. That movement distance becomes very important on the second and third turns that happen after this one. So for now, we're just going to end Astarion's turn. Lae'zel doesn't have a turn right now, so to speak, but what I want to do with Lae'zel, but I don't want her to drag the aggro, so she's not going to attack. What I want her to do, though, is get into a position where she can grab his aggro on the next turn. Okay, so I'm just going to put her somewhere in here. And you'll see why when we come up to our next turn. Okay, so now you can see he moved from a little bit behind this arc to being a little bit behind the center of the forge. And that gives you his superheated movement distance, right? So now from where he's at here, he could move to about here, or he could move to about here, or he could move to about here, okay? Or maybe more like right here. So that's what's important to manage his movement after this. But the first thing that we're going to do with this is we are going to
Can you feel
bring the hammer down on Grym. For the hammer to work, you can see it here above him. For the hammer to work, Grym has to be superheated. If he's standing on this platform and he's not superheated, the hammer is going to knock, it's going to come down and hit him. It's going to knock him prone, but it is not going to do any damage. He has to be superheated for this to work. And that's very important to remember when you're utilizing the traditional method here. So now I'm going to move over and trigger this manually. I'm not going to use my ranged attack to do it.
quickly?
And now four things have happened. First, the threat assessment has now shifted to Astarion because he caused damage. Okay, he caused it using the hammer, but that still counts. So Astarion is now the prime threat. So Grym is now prone. He's going to get up on his turn and start walking toward Astarion right now. So if nothing else happens, he's going to walk toward Astarion. Okay? And that's, again, important to know. The second thing is that Grym is prone. When a target is prone, they have to spend half of their movement to stand back up. And that means Grym isn't going to be able, when he stands up, he's not going to be able to walk all the way from here to back here like he did the first time. He's only going to be able to walk halfway, which puts him like right about here, which puts him at the front of these platforms. That becomes a problem because then if I'm, say, trying to drag his aggro with Astarion, he's going to stand up and he's going to end up right about here. Well, then how do I maneuver him back to the hammer? Because if I try and drag his aggro again the opposite way back here, he's going to move from here all the way across the hammer and over to here. He's never and you could just keep dragging him back and forth across this, and he will never get close enough to the hammer for you to trigger it. So you need to get him to, again, one of these in line with this circle here, and then drag him back to the center. So that means that on this turn, I'm going to have to drag him towards somebody. Then on the turn after that, I'm going to have to drag him even closer to that somebody. And then I'm going to have to try and drag him back to the center. And this is where managing that movement comes into play. Okay? Because what you can do is drag him, say, for instance, toward where Lae'zel is standing right now. And then you can try and drag him this way, diagonally across this platform. And he will move from here to, say, here. And then all I have to do is drag him back across from somebody standing over here. Okay, so that's where this movement gets a little important. You can just let somebody stand back here, or stand right here near this, drag Grym over here, let him attack you, and then drag his aggro back this other way. Grym can't one-shot you unless he crits you. For any of the characters that I have here, but he's going to take a big chunk of damage, or off of whoever he hits. The third thing that happened is that Grym has taken a huge amount of damage. He took 130 points or so of bludgeoning damage from that. That was actually a low roll. Took 128 points of bludgeoning damage. It's 12d8. He actually rolled low on that. But when he gets, that's how you do the main portion of damage to him, is with the hammer. And then the fourth thing that happened is we have more magma Mephits that popped up. And this is why I put Will over here, is so that we can try and deal with some of these while we're here. And I'm going to start that off first. Okay, so we did get a crit on one. So Astarion is my target, and that's perfectly fine. But before we deal with Astarion's final here, I have one more ranged attack I can make with him.
Let's go.
And I would like to try and get that ranged attack here. I can. Good. Okay, great. Thank you, Astarion. And now I'm going to move Astarion actually over here as far as I can. So now when Grym gets up, he's going to move directly toward Astarion, and he's going to end up somewhere around in here. Which I don't... I might have moved Astarion too close. I should have moved him back here. He might be within melee range of Astarion. That might have been a mistake on my part. We'll see when we get there, though. I'm keeping my bard out of the fight for now. And here I'm going to move Lae'zel over here.
My path be true.
And use her to try and take out as many of the Mephits as I can. Great. Okay. The other thing that I forgot to mention that happened is Grym is no longer superheated. Alright, so we can't take any damage from anybody. Now, Grym's threat assessment does not trigger with damage. It triggers with a successful attack. If you miss, you don't draw aggro. If you attack and you do 0 damage, you still drag aggro. So it doesn't matter if he's superheated right now or not, as far as drawing his aggro goes.
The dance macabre. This is my time.
Okay, so everybody's out here. So I'm going to end my turn.
Send them back to the hell.
Okay, so he stood up. That was interesting. I haven't had that happen before. He stood up and did not move. That's interesting. Okay. Well, this opens up an easier possibility here. Okay, I didn't expect that. Normally, he stands up and moves toward the threat assessment. He did not do that. He just stood up and didn't move. So I no longer have his weird movement distance to deal with. I can drag his aggro. He's going to move from there back to almost the center of either one of these locations, and then I just have to drag him straight back across. So yeah, I'm going to, Lord Henry. I'm just not going to do it now. I can do that at any time because my Bard is still out of combat. So I'll heat him up here in a second, but again, to draw his aggro, he does not have to be superheated. You just have to be able to make a successful attack. Now, what the superheated also does... Okay, still not showing his movement speed. That's what I was looking at. So, what superheated also does is it removes the intense adamantine backlash feature that Grym has. If Grym is not superheated and you hit him with a melee attack to try and draw aggro, you're going to be sent reeling for 3 turns. And really gives you a -1 penalty to your attack roll for every turn remaining. So that can make it even harder to hit. When he's superheated, he does not have this feature anymore. But you can also see that he's now immune to all damage types when he's not superheated. Okay? So from here, my main focus again is going to be dragging aggro here, seeing who we can get for aggro. And I would actually like to switch aggro to Lae'zel if I can. So let's see if we can drag his aggro. Now here's where bringing my Bard into play would be a benefit, because of his high armor class, you have lower chances to hit here. So bringing my Bard into this with combat inspiration would help either Astarion or Lae'zel hit better on these attacks. But I would like to try with Lae'zel first and see if we can drag Grym's aggro or not. Okay, so we got a miss there. And we had a miss there. So now we'll drag it with Astarion, or try. Okay, so we missed there. Let's try the offhand. Not that. Okay, so we missed all of them. So one more. Okay, so there. He took 0 damage, but the threat assessment shifted to Astarion. Now we're going to move Astarion all the way to the back of this platform, as far back as we can go. We're going to use our Bard. Make sure nobody's standing down below, and we can actually use Will now to hopefully get rid of this Mephit. Okay. Can end his turn. Actually, before we do that, we'll use our Bard here to trigger the lava valve, because she can do that whenever she wants. Lava is going to come back out. He will become superheated as soon as he walks through that lava to try and get to Astarion.
Time to strike.
We can, now for Lae'zel, I want to get her in a position where, again, hopefully she can drag Grym's aggro next turn.
No time to waste.
I'm going to actually do the same thing with Will.
No time to waste.
And you'll see why here in a second. So end Will's turn, end Lae'zel's turn, end Astarion's turn, and let Grym go. So now he's superheated again, and you see he's moved exactly onto the center of this. So when he moves, he's going to move back to this platform. So what I want to do is drag his aggro and move somebody right over here so that he walks right back toward me. Okay, and to do that, I can do it with either Will or Lae'zel. I can't get Astarion from here all the way back over here. He doesn't have enough movement speed to do that. But Will and Lae'zel have Misty Step. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I have a scroll of magic missile with Will. Okay, again, it does very little damage to him, but Will now has the aggro. So I can use Will's bonus action to Misty Step him over here. So now Grym is going to come right toward him. I wanted to cause a little more damage as well because I don't know how much damage the hammer is going to do. And he might actually be left with some hit points after this. And if it's a small amount of hit points, then maybe we can do damage through piercing damage to take him out. So I'm trying to do a little bit of damage here in addition to this. So I should have actually done it with Astarion first because I knew Will's was going to hit. But now at this point it doesn't really matter. If I drag aggro with Lae'zel, I can still Misty Step her back over there. But I'm going to keep this kind of back and forth maneuvering here working for a little bit. So I'm not going to do any damage with Lae'zel. I'm just going to end her turn right now. And we will drag Grym back into the center here.
Time to kill.
Okay, and Astarion, the same thing. I don't really care about the movement here. One thing you don't want to do is position your character so that they get attacks of opportunity. If they do get attacks of opportunity, you want them to be an ask reaction. Because if you get an attack of opportunity and that hits, he will stand right next to you because you've now drawn the aggro. And he will attack you. So keep that in mind. And we're done with Will. And now Grym is going to turn around and walk right toward Will. And now with Astarion, I can again drop the hammer on him. Okay, so he didn't take a lot of damage there. I rolled low twice on that. So he's still got 30 hit points left. So again, while he's here, he is not superheated anymore. You can see he doesn't have that trait. So I'm not going to be able to damage anymore. So now it's about drawing the aggro back. And for that, I'm going to try and do it with Astarion again. Okay, so the threat assessment came back to Astarion. That's perfect. I'm going to move him all the way to the back of the platform. And actually, it doesn't matter now. Well, we'll see what he does when he gets up. I'm anxious to see if that mechanic has changed in patch 5 for some reason. Well, let me think here. Yeah, I can experiment a little bit here.
Time to strike.
Forever dauntless.
Okay, that's a very different mechanic. He never used to do that. It makes this fight a lot easier because you don't have to deal with his half movement speed putting him in here. Whenever he's prone, he's just going to use all of his movement just to stand up. So, yeah, that's really interesting. So now it doesn't really matter who I attack him with. We'll just try and draw aggro on him. But again, I don't care if I succeed or not. Okay. So now I can take Lae'zel and move her all the way to the back of this platform. No, let's not.
Go for the throat.
Let's try and get Astarion to get the aggro again. Okay, good. So he got it. So I'm going to move him back. I don't want Lae'zel
No holding back.
dragging it yet. I want her Misty Steps available to move around.
There's blood in the air. Forever dauntless.
And again, nothing for Will at this point. Okay, so now I'm going to move with Lae'zel and try and get her to drag this aggro. And this is going to be very important that she actually connects here. So I've got 2 shots at 40% each to drag the aggro, and I got it. So we can just get another one because it doesn't matter. Okay, so she did a little more. And again, now I'm going to Misty Step her right over here. Nobody else is going to go.
Inside out.
Grym's going to turn around, walk right back to the hammer. And then Astarion can get the kill. Now, once it's done, the lava is going to disappear. Okay, you don't necessarily want to move people off of their platforms or keep people off the platforms. However, you can go searching, and the first thing to search is Grym. You have the Grym Skull Helm. This is a heavy armor helmet. It gives the Hunter's Mark spell ability once per long rest, which is basically just free damage as long as you're able to maintain concentration on it. It grants resistance to fire damage, so you're only going to take half damage from fire. And attackers can't land critical hits on whoever's wearing it. So I only have one person right now in my party who is able to wear heavy armor, and that's Lae'zel. Now I'm going to have Lae'zel go over here, and actually now I've got Astarion done. I'm going to move him back over here. When we brought the hammer down and hit Grym the first time, it forged the adamantine splint armor.
Assume nothing. This'll do.
We're going to pick that up.
Without delay.
And the adamantine splint armor that we crafted This is magical plate, so all incoming damage is reduced by 2. That's huge. On a 1d8 roll, that's 25% of the max damage that is negated due to this. So it's got intense adamantine backlash, which we learned about when we looked at Grym. Anybody who hits you with a melee attack is going to send reeling, which means that they're going to have a harder time hitting you with subsequent attacks or anybody else they attack. Disadvantage on stealth checks comes with all medium and heavy armors, so nothing spectacular there. Again, attackers can't land critical hits on the wearer. Okay, so the adamantine splint armor is one of the best armor pieces that you can get in it is the best armor piece you can get in Act 1. It's actually very competitive all the way through Act 2 as well, until you get to near the very end of Act 2 is when you might find something a little bit better than this. But at this point, these are the best armor pieces that you're going to have available to you. So now you can use the mold ejection lever. That's going to pop the mold out of the mold chamber and put it right here. Lae'zel can pick it up. Now she's going to click on the mold chamber again. And she's going to insert the scale mail mold. Okay, successfully inserted. I'm going to move Lae'zel off the platform. I'm going to bring my bard. Click on the crucible.
Simple enough.
And I'm going to insert my other piece of mithril ore here. And again, move everybody off or onto the platforms, because for the forge hammer to work, there has to be lava out here. We learned that from all the books we read. See, as soon as the lava comes out, the forge goes down.
Someone there.
And now we can use Astarion to trigger the forge lever. And now if you watch here, you can see we crafted the adamantine scale mail, and now the lava is going to go away again.
Still breathing, despite everything. Always room for more.
Now the adamantine scale mail is useful for a couple of things. Right now, it is useful for my bard. So you'll see a difference here in that the chain shirt +2 is 15. The adamantine scale mail so now I'm at 16. That went up to a 20 armor class. So I believe my bard now has the highest armor class in the group. Yes. Okay, the other thing that the adamantine scale mail is good for is, remember, there are other characters you have that can use medium armor. So once you start finding different armor pieces for different characters, you can start swapping the medium armor around to other characters. For instance, Karlach, as a barbarian, she can use medium armor. So having the highest armor class scale mail in the game available to you right now means that that's going to be able to up her armor class over anything that she's wearing, even using unarmored defense. So the adamantine scale mail is very, very versatile in the game. So for right now, again, has the same thing. All incoming damage is instead reduced by 2. It's reduced by 1 because it's medium armor. Adamantine backlash, instead of lasting for 3 turns, lasts for 2 turns. All the other things are the exact same. as the adamantine splint mail. Okay, so this is one of those things where if you're able to utilize, if you have a build that's utilizing a shield, then, for instance, even with Lae'zel here, my dexterity on my bard is just enough to get me that +2 to allow me the dexterity bonus to, my dexterity bonus to my armor class. It's a maximum of +2 allowed from medium armor. You can see down at the bottom, AC bonus from dexterity limited to +2. So this gives you a really good armor class for medium armor wearing or characters that have at least a 14 dexterity. So if you have somebody who's got at least that 14, they can get a 20 armor class right now. And that makes them incredibly hard to hit. You throw on something like Shield of Faith from somebody else casting it on them, and that armor class goes up even higher, and now things just can't hit you. It just becomes so incredibly hard to hit you that you can have a melee character just stand right in the middle of a big group of people and not take any damage. And that can become very, very useful, say, I don't know, for a paladin build. Where you want to just stand in the middle of everybody and whack away. Or your barbarian build, where you can just stand in the middle with a shield and whack away. So these 3 things that you craft from a defensive standpoint, I think far outweigh the weapon benefits that you can get by crafting any of the 2 weapon types. The shield that comes with this is also, it's the same type of thing as this. The shield is also very, very useful because shields can be used by a lot of different characters. Gale can use it, Will can use it, all of your martial classes can use it. So we're going to make a decision in our paladin playthrough how to deal with that. But yes, it can be an incredible bonus. My bard is going to be so hard to hit, and don't forget, oh, actually, Jerry, you just mentioned exactly where I was going to go. Don't forget that we have all sorts of other bonuses that can let us stand in the middle of everybody and dish out damage while we're not taking it. Shriek works in an area around you, in a 6-meter radius around you, and it causes damage, 1 to 4 thunder damage, while everybody else has a huge penalty to charisma, wisdom, intelligence saving throws. So you could stand in the middle of everybody, let everybody whack at you and miss, while still being able to land almost every wisdom-based bard spell that you have in your inventory that has a wisdom save associated with it. So it gets to a point where your combat versatility for a bard, especially if you've gone College of Swords or College of Valor, takes a huge step up now. You're not just a spell casting buffer anymore. You can stand there and disregard attacks from enemies that may have gone toward other characters. So the bard starts getting a little bit more oomph to them at this point. So keep all of that in mind while you're going through this. So that's the traditional way of taking on Grym. So you're going to see I think actually I don't know, I'm starting to reconsider it because of how much easier this is now. With his not getting up from prone and moving toward you movement, that makes this thing a lot easier. So but that's the traditional way of fighting him. Okay, So once you're done, your platform is down here. Now remember, at any time you can fast travel out of here if you would like. However, that leaves the platform down here. And like I said, if at some point in the future, Larian decides to add in more mithril ore somewhere, and you want to come back here and have the ability to craft some more, it would be a lot harder to get down here to do that if the platform's down here. So the platform control button here is what takes you back up to the top. Okay. And these are the two platforms that I was talking about during the Grym fight. So your character here is going to be within range of the lava valve to shoot it with a ranged attack. Okay, so from here, your ranged attack, you can see when the platform's down, your path won't be interrupted. And whoever's standing here can trigger the lava valve and keep Grym superheated. However, this platform over here is where you have your at least one ranged attacker standing to be able to get ranged damage on Grym while he's down here, and then have everybody and have somebody else over here to be able to trigger the lava valve when he's superheated. Now what's going to happen is that I normally have seen people split characters, at least 2 and 2, so that you have more opportunity to hit him and drag his aggro into one place or another, because it's very easy to miss. You're going to have at most a 50% chance to land an attack with a ranged weapon. So it can take a long time to cheese him. That fight would take, you know, an hour or something of 1, 2, and 3 damage to Grym, even when he's superheated, to be able to do it. But you certainly can do it from up here using these two platforms. Just make sure that you keep somebody here to keep triggering this when they're down here. So, or when the platform's down. Okay, so if we look at our quest journal, we completed the adamantine forge here. And the rest of this is stuff that we can't do yet. So some of these take us back to Baldur's Gate. Some of us take us back to Act 3 locations. Some of them are going to continue on into Act 2 at Moonrise Towers, etc., etc. So, did I not read? I don't still have it with me, do I? I'm wondering why the Necromancy of Thay quest didn't complete. Have I not read it yet? For some reason? Let's take these crafting supplies and move them into our pouch. Okay, so now at this point, we are complete inside the Underdark. We have a quest marker to take me up. Actually, we're not. Forgot. We need one more thing over here. We have a quest marker for the exit from the Underdark to take you up to the Shadow-Cursed lands. We are not going to go that way. We are going to head out through the mountain pass. We have these markers here for the Shadow Powder or Smoke Powder Reserve, which we don't need. And we have the Harper stash over here. So we're going to head to the Grym Forge fast travel point. And we're going to head up here. And very much similar to our last fight here with the mimics.
What a day.
So where is guiding light? We'll take Astarion down here.
If the Dark Justiciar's letter was right, there should be a stash here somewhere. Now to find the damn thing.
Okay, so he failed his investigation check, but we'll continue on down here. And he failed the perception check as well. He rolled a 2 on both of them. Nice. Love it. You don't need these. I'm going to do them anyway.
Another step forward.
Quick step.
No one back home will ever believe this. Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Okay.
Something over there.
I can move her back up here. Oh, you're kidding me. I don't like this game sometimes. This is gonna hurt. Okay, fine. We'll do it this way. Jeez. What happened there was when I started moving her back, the pathing took me too close, evidently, to this mimic chest. And it triggered this encounter. I was not planning to do it this way, but it is what it is. So...
Can't even catch my breath.
let's put my bard to the test, huh? If she gets hit, she's going to end up dropping this, but...
Swift as my feet can carry me.
Okay, so it's dazed.
The dance macabre.
Means it's going to be more susceptible to wisdom-based spells now. It's threatened, so I'm going to get sneak attack damage here if I hit. Okay, and now I'm going to move Astarion back.
On the way.
And now let's see where the detection cones are.
Unseen. Unheard. Unseen.
Yeah, Lord Henry, it seems to be the thing. The bard seems to be a little bit cursed when it comes to some of this. Okay, so let's make sure that we have all in on here. let's see if we can jump in here. Perfect. Okay, so the chance to hit here, all in, remember I've got a -5 to hit because of Great Weapon Master all in. However, because these are monstrosities and I have Gandrel's aspiration, I get the Feller of Monsters trait, so I have advantage against monstrosity type enemies, and it doesn't matter if I'm using my Gandrel's aspiration to make that attack or not. So this attack is going to have advantage to help offset the Great Weapon Master. Great, thank you. Appreciate that. And she does have Luck of the Far Realms. I'm trying to think if she used it. I was not asked there to trigger it. Yeah, I wasn't asked to trigger it there. I don't think I've used it. Oh, I guess I have used it. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where I used it. Okay. Now, I'm looking through here. Okay, so that's what it was. So damage reduced to 9 to spare the target. Okay. I was wondering what had happened there.
Taking position.
So now I'm going to move over next to this one. It's under Shriek, and remember, Shriek gives them a 1d4 penalty to any of the intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws, but when it's attacked, no matter how many times it's attacked, it takes an additional 1d4 thunder damage. So every attack that Lae'zel gets, or I get against it, if it hits, it's going to gain an additional 1d4 damage against it.
Time to push my luck again.
And I'm going to try and move... Actually, this thing can't jump. It's going to try and come down this way.
Let's spill some blood.
And I might as well hide here.
Shadows.
Victory awaits.
And I'm going to wait on Will. Okay. Alright, so I kind of did want to illustrate this.
Time to strike.
Because when the Mimic hit Lae'zel, it doesn't show up. Yeah, it doesn't show it here. But you have a saving throw that you can make when the Mimic bites you. That saving throw is strength-based. I rolled one short. I rolled a 5, so I rolled one short of it. If you fail the strength saving throw, it's basically a disarm attack that it makes against you. However, if I'm holding Alt here, there's no weapon laying on the ground. And that's because it eats it. That weapon is now inside of the Mimic. The only way to get that weapon back is to kill the Mimic. So that's the danger of dealing with the Mimics. Now, I have a bunch of other weapons in my inventory. However, changing weapons requires an action, which means that even if I change to a different weapon here, I'm not going to be able to attack again unless I, do something like haste or something like that. So just something to keep in mind. We'll deal with Lae'zel here in a second, and since this one didn't move very far, I'm actually planning here.
What now?
Let's do this. Let's... No, let's do this instead. So I still can reach it. My disadvantages are going to offset here. So I will get sneak attack on this. Okay, I can end Astarians. Might as well. Okay, so it's gonna make me want to move around over here to do it. So... Okay, so yeah, that kind of bugged out. The rush attack kind of bugged out there because it said I could attack it, but there was no clear line of pathway to get there for it. But it is within Shriek again, so... Now for Lae'zel, I can make ranged attacks. And I can try frightening. Oh, love the crits. That'll work. Okay, it keeps saving against Frighten. And I should have cast Hunter's Mark there before I started that attack.
Shall we cut and run?
The pride of the gate. They won't see me coming. Quiet as a moonbeam.
And now these detection cones should be facing down toward them. Yeah, so I should be able to get right around. Yeah, and that's right. You don't want to shove any of these mimics off the edge. If they have one of your weapons inside of them. But I am going to try and shove this one. Okay, didn't even need to shove it. So now Lae'zel can search this mimic and get the Yankee Greatsword back. Where is it? There it is. I was like, where is it? Where did it go? I just skipped over it a couple times, I guess. And now you can search the others and you get the wondrous gloves. So the Wondrous Gloves are a bard item. So your armor class increases by 1, and if you have bardic inspiration, you gain 1 more use of it. So right now I'm wearing Helm's Protection, so when I heal somebody else, they gain resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And I have a +1 to strength saving throws. Now... Now look at my armor class. And not only did it go up to 21, but my bardic inspirations went up to 5 from 4. Not many items in this game give you a straight up, other than a shield, that give you a straight up bonus to your armor class. And this is another one of those things that makes your bard much more than what you normally consider a bard to be. And this is why I love the bard class so much, especially in the game here, is that there's just so much versatility that you can do with your bard, and that with an armor class this high, your bard really can turn into a frontline tank now against a lot of enemies that you are going to find. And that is so important when you are dealing with your action economy, because now you can drag all of those monsters in towards somebody who's normally not supposed to be a tank, and allow everybody else to move around the battlefield and take out ancillary enemies or enemies that may be attacking from range. And you can do that with high damage dealing characters like your barbarian or like your fighter, while your frontline tank bard sits there and occupies the mainline enemies. It's a complete reversal of how you would normally think about going about your play styles. And that's what makes the bard so fun in this game. I honestly think that the amount of item specific things that go along with the bard make it a little bit, just a tiny bit OP in this game, compared to how you would normally be playing a bard in tabletop. I'm not diminishing College of Swords bards in tabletop, especially with the expanded rule sets. I'm not diminishing that at all. But I have never been able to achieve a 21 armor class with a bard in tabletop. I just haven't. I mean, I played a bard in 2 different campaigns, and I've never gotten close to that. So it's a thing. It's definitely a thing, and I love it for the bard class. So Eric, you could probably comment that on it as well. I mean, from a tabletop perspective, it's a little bit it's starting to get a little bit OP-ish with stuff you can do with the bard here. So I love it to death, though. So we picked up a whole bunch of items. We are going to go over here and get rid of those and get ourselves ready.
Welcome back. Have you made any new discoveries?
For the end of the live stream. So just here.
I do enjoy a good bargain. If anything in my private collection is to
right.
your liking.
I forgot the stash itself, the Harper stash itself. So let's just clean these out. Okay, and then these two as well. The hat, the 2 rings, the leather armor. Bloodstones. The crooked wand of fireballs. Okay. We actually are going to keep the Exterminator's Axe. There's a reason for that. We can't get rid of the Maragon Halberd. Don't need it. We're going to keep the Shining Staver of Skulls. Okay, so now down here we can get rid of the Dark Justiciar stuff. I don't use it, even for Shadowheart. I mean, I guess I can send it over there just so y'all can see it at some point. But I don't use it in the game. But I guess, like you say, I can't do it now. Okay. And there's nothing else in here that we needed. I guess I could pick up the Circlet of Blasting for Will. I've got a whole bunch of gold. I can just trade that. I won't give up the Headband of Intellect. I just won't be using it. I'm actually going to pick up the Lifebringer as well. That's for somebody else. And yeah, I didn't need any of these. Okay.
Very well. I have mushrooms to catalog.
And yeah, one thing before we go, let's head back to the Grimforge. Because I did completely forget to actually do the whole reason I was come over here, and that was for the Harper stash. The Paladin playthrough is going to start at in a little bit over an hour. It starts at 2 p.m. Central Time. And it's almost 1 o'clock Central Time now. So y'all take an hour break. That'll give me time to give my voice a rest. It will also give me time to put the chapter markers into this video. So the toy chest here, interacting with the toy chest, is what spawns the Harper stash here. Okay, so
Keep your distance, darling.
you can
Sol Invictus! With pleasure.
Okay, this is a DC 20. So I might as well use a combat inspiration, why not? I've got plenty of them. Okay, now while you cast light on this, there's a trap on this that if you haven't activated the mimics yet, that trap, if you fail the perception checks, the trap, as soon as you open it, will activate the mimics. If you cast light on the chest, which was mentioned in the Lux Splenda scroll up by the Maragon fight, then it doesn't trigger the mimics. I didn't have to do that here, I just wanted to illustrate it to you. So this talks about an alliance between the Emerald Enclave and the Harpers against Ketheric Thorm. That's going to become much more important, or you will learn a lot more about that in
A lot on my mind.
Act 2.
And, well, in it.
But for now, that's not going to be important for us. But yes, you will learn a lot more about that when you start dealing with, or once you enter the Shadow Curse lands from a certain direction,
Welcome back.
and when you
Have you
reach the
made
last
any
light
new
in
discoveries?
Act 2.
I
Let's
do
make sure
enjoy
we
a
are
good
cleared out on
bargain.
all of our
If
inventory is the
anything in my
last thing that we
private
do here.
collection is to your liking.
And we should be done. So Astarion has a couple of things he can sell here. Okay, I think we're all cleared out.
Very
We
well.
are.
I have mushrooms to catalog.
So we will send, actually, the chain shirt +2. I'm still carrying. Sorry, I missed
Welcome
that.
back.
I was too busy looking
Have
for
you made any new
non-outlined items.
discoveries? I do enjoy a good bargain. If anything in my private collection is
Here
to
it
your
is.
liking. Very well.
Okay, so with that,
Half of what they're saying.
we've reached a good point to end this live stream. So as a reminder, the Paladin live stream, which we're a bit farther in, that fight is going to start right off with Grym and the fight against him. I'm going to have a decision to make. I really don't want to do that. I don't want to chance it the normal way, but we'll see. We'll look at it. But that live stream is going to start in an hour at 2 p.m. Central Time here. I'm going to give myself a little break and upload this, get this video chapters uploaded, and I will see you then. So, as always, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Without your support, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jorval saying, until an hour from now, fare thee well.